What is up there, YouTube? Today I have a video on surviving Ottoman warships from the First World War. Now, during the First World War, the Ottoman Navy had mostly suffered defeats, but did have some victories in the case of the Dardanelles campaign of 1915, and some minor victories against the Russian Black Sea Fleet. But largely, the Ottoman Navy suffered largely defeats, and as a result, many of the Ottoman warships that were constructed before World War I were lost during the First World War, including most of the capital ships. But after World War I, most of those surviving vessels were either converted into newer warships, or were refitted into newer warships, or were converted into civilian vessels. Some of those vessels were later used during the Second World War and during the Cold War. But fast forward to the 21st century, only a handful of Ottoman warships have survived to the 21st century. So let's go over some of the surviving warships from the old Ottoman Navy of the First World War. And the first ship on the list is the Hizir Reis, or Hizir Reis, and this is an Ottoman gunboat that was constructed between 1911 and 1914. She was part of a class of ships known as the Isa Reis Class Coastal Defense Gunboat, or river patrol gunboats, that were constructed in France between 1911 and 1914. These vessels had a displacement of 413 tons. Their main armament were three 75mm 48 caliber cannon guns. They also had two 47mm French-made Hotchkiss Model 1902 secondary guns. And their armor thickness is largely unknown. The ships had a speed of 14 knots, or 31 kilometers per hour, or 20 miles per hour, and they had a crew of 60. The Hizir Reis herself, along with her sister ship, Isa Reis, were actually mined twice during the First World War, and as a result, they were laid up for several months during the course of World War I. And they mostly served in the Black Sea Fleet and also served in the Bosphorus Fleet. These were the ships that were tasked with patrolling the Bosphorus Strait, and they also patrolled the Dardanelles region also. After World War I, these vessels were later converted into civilian cargo ships starting in the 1930s, with the first ship being the Isa Reis herself. Hizir Reis, the ship in this video, was converted into a cargo ship in 1958, and she actually served in that capacity all the way up until the 1980s. She was eventually converted into a second-class cargo ship in the 1980s, and she still survives today as the Miktat Kalkavan. And the Miktat Kalkavan is a cargo ship that serves in the Turkish cargo fleet that operates in the Bosphorus Strait and the Black Sea, trading goods between Turkey and Russia, as Russia and Turkey today are now major trading partners. During the Cold War era, the ship underwent a heavy modernization or reconstruction into a cargo vessel, so she barely resembles what she used to be, a Ottoman gunboat in the First World War. And she is also the last of the heavy Ottoman warships that weighed more than 400 tons. So the Hizir Reis is the last of the Ottoman gunboats from the First World War. It is also one of the last surviving warships from the old Ottoman Navy. The next ship on the list is the Nusret. The Nusret is a Turkish minelayer that was constructed between 1911 and 1913 in Germany, and was delivered to the Ottomans in 1913, and just 1 year before World War I began. She had a displacement of 365 tons. Her main armament was two 47mm German-made Krupp Model 1902 guns, and she could carry upwards to 40 naval mines, and these naval mines were pretty much her main weaponry in the First World War. Her speed was 15 knots, or 28 kilometers per hour, or 17 miles per hour, and she had a crew of 63. Now, during World War I, she was the most successful Ottoman warship of the First World War, and was the only Ottoman warship to sink an Allied capital ship. In fact, she sank and crippled several Allied battleships during the course of the Dardanelles campaign in 1915. During the Dardanelles campaign, the Nusret's naval mines managed to sink two British battleships, HMS Irresistible and HMS Ocean, and one French battleship, the French battleship Bouvet. And she also managed to badly damage and cripple the British battlecruiser HMS Inflexible, all within the span of a month, making her the most successful warship of the Ottoman Navy in the First World War. As a result, she is the only surviving mine layer from the First World War. After World War I, she was laid up in Istanbul up until 1927, where she was later rebuilt into a diving vessel named Yarden, starting in 1937. She served at this capacity all the way up until 1962, where she was finally stripped of all of her military equipment and converted into a civilian vessel, serving as a cargo motor ship from 1962 all the way up until the 1980s. In 1989, she actually sank in the harbor of Mersin, where she lay submerged for 10 years. Finally, in 2002, the wreck of Nusret was actually raised by the Turkish museum based in the city of Mersin, the Tarsus Kanako Park Museum. From 2002 until 2008, she underwent major restoration between 2002 and 2008. And fast forward to the 21st century, you can actually see the surviving Turkish mine layer Nusret at the Turkish Tarsus Kanako Park Museum in the region of Mersin, Turkey. And she is also one of the last surviving Ottoman warships of the First World War. Another surviving ship from the old Ottoman Navy is not actually a warship, but is a harbor tug. And this tug also took part in the Turkish War of Independence, which lasted from about late 1918 until about 1922-1923. And that ship is the Cartali, also known as the Cartali. And this was a Turkish harbor tug that also served as a guard ship during the last years of World War I and as an improvised gunboat during the Turkish War of Independence. The ship was constructed in 1911 in France and was actually known as the Enterprise, but was sold to Turkey or the Ottoman Empire sometime before World War I. During World War I, she mostly served as a harbor tug, but later on, towards the end of the war, she was actually converted into an improvised gunboat. In 1918, there was actually a uprising in Turkey known as the Young Turks Revolution or the Nationalist Revolution. And this occurred towards the end of World War I in the Ottoman region or the Turkish region, in which the Turkish government, the Ottoman government, pretty much surrendered to the Allied powers. And as a result, many Turkish nationalists pretty much wanted to overthrow the Ottoman government and create a new nationalist state, which would later be known as Turkey. And this was known as the Turkish War of Independence. And this is pretty much the newly formed Turkish state fighting against the Allied powers of mostly France and Greece, but also other forces that were involved in that conflict. During that time period, Cartali was taken over by the newly formed Turkish Navy and was involved in the Turkish War of Independence. Eventually, that war came to an end around 1922-1923. Afterwards, the ship was stripped of its armaments and served as a harbor tug again, all the way up until the 1970s or 80s, where it was finally abandoned. Fast forward to the 2010s, the ship was actually found abandoned and was restored. And today, the Cartali can actually be seen as one of the last surviving civilian/military tugs from the First World War and from the old Ottoman Navy of World War I, and also from the newly formed Turkish government at the start of the Turkish War of Independence, starting in 1918 through 1922-1923. So these are the last of the old Ottoman Navy. Only 3 vessels remain, and that's pretty much it. It's kind of sad, actually. The Ottomans actually had a large number of ships, but most of them were either scrapped or sunk during World War I or just after the war. And some managed to survive to the Cold War, but ultimately only 3 vessels managed to survive to the 21st century. So what do you all think of these old Ottoman vessels? Please tell me in the comments section below. And until next time, this was J-Man Time, signing off.